Wow, so I just uncovered some information that I don't see anybody talking about on YouTube, and it absolutely shocked me. You are not going to want to miss this. Because if this is correct, Tesla's stock price could nearly double around August 31st or soon thereafterwards. Now I know this sounds absolutely preposterous, especially considering that Tesla just hit record highs a few days ago. But give me just a few minutes of your time and I promise I'll make it worth it. So let's not waste any time, let's get right into it. So all this week, it seems everyone, including myself, has been talking about and getting excited about the possibility of Tesla being added to the S&P 500. But what nobody is talking about is the S&P 400, which might actually end up being the most important part of this whole equation. Yet nobody is really talking about it. Let me explain. So first, real quick, for those of you who might not be familiar with what the S&P 500 is, it's basically an index that tracks the performance of about 500 of the largest publicly traded companies in the US across a multitude of different sectors. And the reason that this is such a massive deal for Tesla is because these index funds literally manage trillions of dollars. And so once a company gets added into the S&P 500, these indexes will literally be forced to very quickly, by the way, buy several million shares of Tesla in order to avoid errors tracking the index's performance. Also, since Tesla currently has a market cap of around $275 billion, it would be one of the most valuable companies to ever be added and is already larger than 95% of the companies in the S&P 500. And because of this, whether they like it or not, it is being estimated that these index managers would need to own roughly 25 million shares of Tesla stock. In fact, just the two biggest index funds alone would need to purchase about 3 million shares of Tesla, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Now let me be clear, there has never ever been a situation quite like this one before in history, but the closest thing we have to it is way back in 1999 when Yahoo surged 64% in just 5 trading days after the announcement that it would be included in the index. But we're even in more uncharted territory than most people are realizing. And you see, this is where the S&P 400 comes into place. The S&P 400 is the lesser known little brother of the S&P 500, and it is comprised of 400 mid-cap companies, specifically ones with a market cap between 1.6 and $6.8 billion. So why is this even relevant? Well, you see, as Truth_Tesla brilliantly pointed out on Twitter, it is extremely rare for a company not to first have already been part of the S&P 400 before it was quote-unquote upgraded to the S&P 500. And so what you have to keep in mind is that most indexes already own S&P 400 companies. So if they get bumped up into the big boys league, which is the S&P 500, it's a simple matter of simply transferring the shares internally, and thus they are not required to buy as many additional new shares in the company. But in usual Tesla fashion, it is once again an absolute unicorn in the sense that this is a very unique and special case because Tesla completely bypassed that interim stage as it has never been part of the S&P 400, and thus why these index managers will be forced to scramble and buy tens of millions of Tesla shares directly from the open market. And remember, they have to do this fairly quickly after inclusion. They cannot just wait around and buy them months later down the road and hope that they'll be cheaper then. So majority of the buying is most likely going to be within the first week or 2 weeks following the announcement. So this will create massive buying pressure and likely send the stock price soaring upwards to levels never before seen. But the crazy part is that this is not even where the story ends. You see, the perfect storm might be brewing, and this could just be the beginning. Because you have to remember that Tesla is one of the most shorted stocks on the planet. In fact, it is reaching unprecedented levels in which it is close to becoming the first stock ever to have a short interest level nearing $20 billion. So combine this with the fact that S&P 500 inclusion would put massive upwards pressure on the stock, and you have a recipe for one of the biggest short squeezes that Tesla has ever seen. And let's not forget that just earlier this year, in a span of a few weeks, Tesla stock more than doubled to over $900 off the backs of short sellers who were forced to close their positions, which in turn drove up the stock price massively. And with Tesla already up over 250% this year alone, you best believe that a lot of these short sellers that are still holding on for dear life are likely getting very close to hitting their limits. You see, the vast majority of hedge funds set forth in their bylaws a predetermined threshold of just how big of a loss they're willing to accept on any given position. And once it passes that point, all pride aside, they will be forced to close out of their short positions, which will send the stock price soaring even higher, just like it did earlier this year. So I guess the real question becomes, just how much of an absolute beating can these guys keep taking?
Like we said, second to none. Oh! He front kicked him in the face! Absolutely right!
Also, real quick, I'd really appreciate an early thumbs up as it really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and these videos do take a really long time to make. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
So now, what are the odds of Tesla actually being included in the S&P 500 this year? They're extremely high in my opinion, and here's why. You see, there are 5 major requirements to be included in the S&P 500, and Tesla easily checks off the first 4 right off the bat. The one major requirement that they have not been able to meet yet is this. The sum of the previous 4 quarters of earnings must be positive, as well as the most recent quarter. So far, Tesla has had 3 profitable quarters, with the 4th quarter being scheduled for July 22nd, which is only about 8 days from now. So basically, if Tesla is able to post a profit of even just $1, that would mean that they would finally qualify for inclusion in the S&P 500. And considering the leaked emails from Elon Musk basically congratulating the team, along with the fact that Tesla absolutely blew past Wall Street's expectations on deliveries by delivering over 90,000 vehicles in the 2nd quarter alone, despite facing a global pandemic. And then the cherry on top of all of this, for me, would be Elon releasing shorts just a few weeks ago before reporting earnings to really stick it to the short sellers, which I highly doubt he would have done unless he was absolutely certain that Tesla was going to post a profit. And plus, he has a long history of leaving cryptic clues throughout his tweets. But also, do keep in mind that after qualifying, inclusion doesn't just happen automatically or right away. It has to be voted on by the 9 committee members, and based on my research, this can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. So conservatively, we can likely expect an official announcement somewhere between mid to late August. Also, if by the off chance somehow Tesla doesn't post a profit this quarter, it wouldn't really matter, because then they would likely very easily post a profit in the 3rd quarter and then still would qualify for S&P 500 inclusion. So it's looking more and more like inclusion will be inevitable no matter what at this point. Now, to be fair, there are studies that show that most gains from inclusion into the S&P 500 tend to slowly fade away around the 2-month mark after the initial hype phase is over, as some YouTubers have pointed out already. But again, these studies can't really be applied to Tesla's situation, because remember, the majority of those companies that were named in those studies were first included in the S&P 400 before later being added to the S&P 500. Also, another extremely interesting factor is that if we assume the announcement will be made sometime around late August, right around the corner in September will be Battery Day, which is one of the most anticipated days in Tesla's entire history, and which Elon Musk has been teasing us about for what seems like years at this point. So you best believe that they are likely going to unveil some massive innovations, including their 1 million mile battery, which will set them light years apart from their already non-existing competition. And on top of all of this, Elon has already confirmed that the board will be considering doing a stock split during the annual shareholders meeting, which will be held on the exact same day as Battery Day. Now, can you just imagine if Tesla was, for example, to do a 10-for-1 stock split, meaning that their shares would again be trading at around $100 to $200 range for the first time in years, making their stock far more affordable and appealing to millions upon millions of highly interested retail investors. The level of FOMO that this could create could reach parabolic levels that we have never seen before. So combine all of these factors and it starts to make more and more sense why the possibility of Tesla doubling close to the $3,000 mark within the next 2 to 3 months is not as far-fetched as one might think, because it seems like a multitude of factors are all aligning just right to lead to something truly incredible happening. Also, since we have a lot of new subscribers on this channel who might not be familiar with my investing philosophy, I am a long-term investor at heart, and I started investing in Tesla last year when it was around the $200 range. And let's just say, since then I've added a lot more shares to my portfolio, especially when it dipped again to the $500 range earlier this year. So honestly, yes, while it is fun to speculate on all these things and watch the gains pile up in the short term, don't get it twisted. Even if Tesla were to reach the $3,000 range before the end of this year, I will not be selling a single share of my Tesla stock. Because why in the world would I sell when things are just getting started? At the end of the day, I do not have an ounce of doubt in my body that Tesla will be worth over $10,000 plus per share before 2030. So now, my recommendation to you guys is to never invest with the mindset that in 2 months you are going to double your money and become filthy rich, but instead go into an investment like Tesla, knowing that this is a stock that has an incredible potential to be trading at over $10,000 a share over the next 5 to 10 years. So don't shortchange yourself. Instead of cashing out for these baby gains in the short term, instead invest with a long-term mindset into category disrupting companies. That's when you'll have the real opportunity to have your investment tenfold, if not more. But with that being said, this is not investment advice, and all of this is just my opinion based on my research. So it's extremely important to always do your own research and invest wisely. Because at the end of the day, the stock market, especially in the short term, is extremely volatile and unpredictable. But anyways guys, if you found any value in this video at all, and I hope you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notifications bell. Also, I love talking to you guys, and I always reply to every single comment, so let me know your thoughts on Tesla, and let me know what stocks you want me to talk about next in the comment section below. Also, if you're interested in getting 2 free stocks worth up to $1,400, check out my Webull links in the description box. But as always guys, especially if you made it until this point in the video, I have so much love for you guys. You are the real MVP, and I hope you all have a beautiful day. Peace.